to talk about how to read food labels and not get fooled. Reading labels can be tricky. People are more health conscious than ever these days, so some food manufacturers use misleading tricks to convince you to buy highly processed and unhealthy products. Food labelling regulations are also very complicated, which makes it very hard for consumers to understand them. What I'm going to do today is explain how to read food labels so that you can differentiate between mislabeled junk food and actually truly healthy food. The best thing you can do, in fact, is to completely ignore all of the claims that are on the front of the packet of food. Front labels are going to try to lure you in to buy products by making healthy claims. I'm sure that most of you would agree that you see health claims on a food packet and it makes you actually believe that the product is healthier than potentially another product which is not making all of these claims, and they could be pretty much identical. Therefore, we make bad food choices. Manufacturers are often dishonest in the way that they use food labels, and they know it. They tend to use health claims that are misleading and in some cases completely untrue. Some examples of these would be high sugar breakfast cereals that use the words such as whole grain or high protein. These are quite common now. Despite what the label might imply, these products are really not healthy. This makes it hard for us to choose healthy options without thoroughly inspecting the ingredients list, which, to be honest, most of us don't have the time nor the desire to do we? How do you analyze an ingredients list? Well, the product's ingredients are usually listed by quantity, so they're going to go from the highest to the lowest amount. That means that the first ingredient is what the manufacturer probably used the most of. What I tend to do is I'm going to scan the first 3 ingredients of the product, as they generally make up most of what you're eating. If the first ingredients include refined grains or hydrogenated oils, you can assume that the product is probably not very healthy. Instead, try choosing items that have whole foods listed in the first 3 ingredients. An ingredients list that's longer than 2 to 3 lines is probably something that you want to stay away from. It suggests that the product is highly processed. Nutrition labels tend to state how many calories and nutrients are in a standard amount of the product. Often this is a suggested serving. Now, in general, these serving sizes are usually much smaller than what we would consume in one sitting anyway. So for example, one serving could be half a can of beans, or a quarter of a packet of cookies, something like that. In doing so, the manufacturers are going to try to deceive us into thinking that the food has fewer calories and less sugar than it actually does. Sneaky. Most people don't know about this serving size scheme, and we think that the entire container is just one single serving, when in reality it may consist of 2, 3 or more servings. If you're interested to know the nutritional value of what you're eating, you need to multiply the serving given on the back by the number of servings you ate and try not to be too shocked. Health claims on packaged food are designed to catch your attention and convince you that the product is healthy so that you buy it. Now I'm going to go through some of the most common claims and words that you're going to see on packaging and tell you what they mean. So number 1 is light. So light products generally are processed to reduce the calories or fat. Some of them are watered down. You need to look carefully to see if anything else has been added. Like sugar, for example, which is often the case. You can get things like cranberry juice that say cranberry juice light. Look on the ingredient, sugar's in there. Next, natural. This doesn't necessarily mean that the product resembles anything natural. It could indicate that the manufacturer initially used some kind of natural product in the process at some point, which could be some kind of fruit or rice, something like that. Low calorie. Now, low calorie products usually have around 1/3 less calories than the brand's original product, but it could still be the same amount of calories as another brand's original product. So the low calorie product for brand X is the same as the original product for brand Y. So that can also be deceiving. Organic. This is one of my favorites, so it's one of the most misleading labels of all. This label says very little about whether a product is healthy. So for example, like organic sugar is still sugar. No added sugar. Some products are naturally high in sugar anyway, so the fact that they don't have sugar added to them doesn't make them healthy. Unhealthy sugar substitutes could still have been added in. Low fat, another classic. This is often on dairy products like yogurt, for example. This usually means that the fat's been reduced at the cost of adding more sugar, so you'll notice that the carbohydrate content is higher and the sugar content is higher. Be careful when you're reading the ingredients list on these. Gluten-free, another classic. Now, gluten-free certainly does not mean healthy. The product simply doesn't have things like wheat, barley, rye, or spelt in it. Many gluten-free products are also loaded with unhealthy sugars and fats. Sugar goes by many different names as well, many of which you will not recognize as sugar. Food manufacturers use this to their advantage by purposely adding many different types of sugar to their foods to hide the actual amount that's in there. This way they're able to put a healthier ingredient at the top, mentioning sugar further down the list. So even though a product might be loaded with sugar, it doesn't necessarily appear as one of the first ingredients, which is super sneaky. Watch out for the following names of sugar in ingredient lists. Now the bottom line is that most of us are not going to go through our lives just eating whole foods or less processed foods, nor should we. And not all processed foods are bad. It is possible to make better choices, and it's also good to be more aware of what you're putting into your body.